Hey all, welcome to another video, and in this video I'll be talking a little bit about the architecture that I've got planned for the my day to dos migration that I'm doing right now. Wait, did I ever talk about my day to dos migration? Okay, maybe not. So up until now I've been talking about my app on GitHub called Node TypeScript CRUD nodes, and then React TypeScript to list. So these two repositories that I have on GitHub that I'm contributing code to that everyone can access, and that are deployed onto AWS. Now, what these repositories actually are is that it is open source, but it's also part of my proposed migration. Proposed. It's part of my migration plan to move my iOS app, my day to do, out of just iOS to the web. Right now, so I've got an app called My Day To Do, and now My Day To Do is only on iPhone, and it's a native iOS app, and it's using Google Cloud Platform, well GCP and Firebase for data storage and um, so on and so forth. So it's using GCP for its cloud-based needs, and now I am migrating all that from GCP and being just a native iOS app to something that is available on the web. So I'm migrating that to be a web app as well as something that's deployed on AWS. And also I'm separating all that out into like a backend and a front end. So in true microservices architecture fashion. So I have like a UI, and then I've got a backend API. So that's what I'm working on, and the backend API is more or less of what Node TypeScript CRUD nodes is, and the front end, the UI, is the React TypeScript to-do list. So, okay, having said all that, so what I did yesterday was I actually made a little diagram on what that architecture, how this architecture, what it would look like, and what I've got right now. So I'll quickly go through that diagram. Just bear with me. This diagram is only the first draft of it, and obviously I'll make improvements to it. So this is just based on my um, understanding at this point, and I'll put everything together. And I've drawn this from a very like from an AWS perspective, so it's very relative to AWS. So if you're using any other cloud solutions, so you may not recognize some of the icons that are here. So right, I'll go to that. So let's see. So this is what the diagram looks like. Okay, I'm really poor at this. I really need to find software that would let me record video, like record the screen as well as have my face in there at the same time. But until we do that, please bear with me. Okay, so this is what it is. So so these are the two layers. So this is the UI and the backend. Now in the back, so for the UI, so the user accesses the site. So user will on their computer or mobile phone, whatever, it will actually try to access that site, and that site uh, will be so I'm not sure how accurate this. I'm not sure if I've done the right thing here. What my UI is, it's a React app that's deployed onto Amazon S3 and S3 storage, and it's a static website, and it's not accessible to public, but I've created some policies where I serve it in a secure manner using a CloudFront distribution. It's the Amazon CloudFront distribution, AWS CloudFront, and then I use to serve it securely. I've got an SSL certificate from Certificate Manager, which is also another one of the AWS services. And now the backend is, again, I really need to do better at this, but for now let's just go with this. So the idea is I have all these APIs, like these are all like REST APIs. So there's a to-do API, there's a weather API, and then the jokes API. So there's also a jokes API. I'm not using that yet, but I do intend to use it. It's a jokes API that tells Chuck Norris jokes. I love it. Checkmark is awesome. And then there's the orders API. Now this is something that I plan to build it into the app in the future, where you can actually a user can place orders on to buy a product or something. It's an order management solution. So I do plan to add this at some stage. This is a sort of at this point this is like a strict maybe. I'm not sure if you can say this or not, but yeah. Okay. So these are the different services that I've got, and now they're all deployed. I'm not using EC2 at this point. They're all deployed on they're all served by Elastic Beanstalk, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, and then that's for my data storage solution. I'm using a NoSQL database, and this icon is actually a DynamoDB icon. DynamoDB is AWS's NoSQL offering, so it's sort of like MongoDB or Cassandra DB or so on and so forth. For those of you who do not know or who are not familiar with the AWS services, and now obviously, so now the thing is, when the UI sends a request to the backend, it actually talks to the load balancer, which will which depending on the nature of the request, it will route to the appropriate instance. So this is what this and this is Route 53. Again, I will need to better at this, but in Route 53, I've created hosted zone for the domain that I have, and at this stage, this is mydaytodos.com, and for that hosted zone, I've created CNAME records that point to the S3 bucket and that point to Elastic Beanstalk, the Elastic Beanstalk instance. So the CNAME record is so there's obviously I've mapped the domain names to it, and as part of getting this certificate, what I've done is I've ensured the certificate covers the www.domainname.com, which is mydaytodos.com, and also all the subdomains. So there's the main primary domain pointing to the React app, and then there's a subdomain that points to the Elastic Beanstalk instance. So this is the architecture for my Day2 at this stage, and obviously this diagram needs a bit of work, and I'll work on that. So I'll improve that. But yeah. Okay, I was really tired holding that. Okay, so that's the idea of showing the architecture for my Day2 deployment, as once it's fully migrated to AWS. Right now, the state at which it is right now. So all of these things that I showed just now, it's all there. The only issue is the backend and the UI, the connection. There's a bit of work left in there. So the backend works fine on AWS when I test it through Postman and everything. It works great. The UI works fine, but the UI connecting to the backend, that needs a bit of work. And in that, it's like at this stage it can retrieve the records fine, but it's got some problems. There's some issues that I need to work through when it comes to updating the UI, the state of the UI, and then get it all working once I've actually deployed it to S3. Because right now, if I run the UI locally and connect it to the backend on AWS, it all works fine. But once I deploy the UI on S3 and then try to connect that www instance to the subdomain, there are a few problems, and that's something that I'm working on. So this is something that I'll this is one thing that I've been up to, and I'll share a link to this diagram, and I'll on my GitHub repository, that is Node TypeScript CRUD nodes, and I'll also put a link to this repository in the description of this video, and all the other blog posts that I've been writing while I'm building this app, while I've been building this. So everything that you see here, all this that you see here, it's all open source and it's ready for you to use. All you would need is AWS credentials and certain environment variables that I'll advise you how to configure them. But yeah, it's all there and it's all ready for public consumption. So please, that's all. That's pretty much all I had to say in this video. So again, it would really help me if you like my GitHub repository, Node TypeScript CRUD nodes, and React TypeScript to list, or it would help me if you want to support my work and if you like the work that I'm doing, that would be great. Meanwhile, you can also read my blog post, have a go at it, maybe buy me a coffee if you feel like it. Again, I'll put a link to how you can buy me coffee in the description of this video. So cool, thanks for watching, and until next time, live long and prosper.